Thank you all for coming to our third session of summer camp. If you've been here the rest of the week for any of these events, it's been a fun week so far, and I am glad we're kind of getting rolling and they get less stressful every time we do one. The technology and stuff is not stressing me out anymore. So today we wanted to talk about upping our online marketing and book sales, and in order to kind of capitalize on what has happened in our world lately and everyone's increased web presence and sales online. So we're going to talk about online marketing, specifically website best practices, social media best practices, and email best practices. And we want to thank Shelf Awareness for sponsoring this event. And we really want to thank Christiane for being here today from Shelf Awareness. She's going to talk about email towards the end. So Jeremy, do you want to put a link to the document that we're kind of working from? We created a one sheet, but it's actually 5 sheets or something like that. That's just kind of everything that we wanted to pull together so that after the fact today, you will all have this resource that you can look back on and have this information all in one place. So you don't have to think about taking notes or anything like that while you're on today. So, and this will also is being recorded, and you can look back and watch us anytime you'd like also. So, all right. So Jeremy, if you're ready, why don't you go ahead with website best practices?
Great. So when I was working in stores, one of the struggles that I had was just wrapping my head around how to even approach doing a website in a world where Amazon is sort of the everything store, and that feels like the thing you have to compete with, or pressure to do it, or just the pressure of that pushing you away from wanting to do any kind of website at all. And of course, what we've seen is that stores have in this moment gotten so much good attention by talking about books that they love, that are specific to them. And of course, the community is eager to support small businesses right now. So I want to just talk about sort of ways to think about your website in a sort of more bite-sized way to give you a platform to really do sales from. And the way that I did that was I started thinking about a web page, a list of books, as an end cap or a small table display, where you're gonna feature 5 to 10 titles that your store has curated, that you have chosen because they work for you and your community. And using that as using the idea of a display as the mechanism to frame your idea, and to keep it very constrained to only 5 or 10 titles, for it to not be about all possible books to a subject, about really just the things that you would talk about and sell. I mean, even thinking of it as like you walking a customer around hand selling books about whatever topic that you're featuring. And I do think that the topics, in a lot of ways, have already been written for you. The calendar of bookstore book selling events, that it's going to be Black History Month and Valentine's Day in February, that you have Women's History Month in March, that it's poetry in April, and so on. There's summer reading in May. Lean in to those easy things and to say, okay, and that gives you a calendar. You're able to think about it and make a schedule, so you know, okay, and coming up, I need to have 5 books chosen for whatever the next event is. For Pride, right now, Pride, everybody has their Pride display up. Here's my 5 books that I'm going to talk about. And if you're able to order just copies of those 5 books to have them in store, that gives you a hand selling opportunity. Really coming in, and so coming up with ways to make it a bite-sized chunk that's achievable. I'm going to do 5 or 10 books for 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm going to promote them on social media. I'm going to promote them in email. I'm going to promote that page. And this would work just as well for a bookshop as it works for an indie commerce site, an indie commerce list. And you're going to talk a little bit about each one of those books and introduce it, and there you go. I mean, it really is that simple, but sometimes it is hard to just get your head around, okay, I've got to build a website and the technology and the struggle to just kind of get to the building. But creating things like that, building a schedule, and then building really a container so that you don't have to write paragraphs. You write a blurb or your hand sell pitch, whatever, to introduce those books. It doesn't have to be extremely expansive. It has to convey passion, convey the energy that you and your store have about the book. I also think that this is a group activity. As you all know, Heather and Kelsey are in Denver and I'm in Dallas, and so we do a lot of everything we do is digital, and it is easy to. I'm in charge of our Instagram, and it's hard to do Instagram alone. It's hard to do it when you're isolated. It's hard to do things without sort of like feedback and some just like the bantering of ideas around. Because Heather and I get on and we'll talk about, oh, well, we need to do this and this. And it's like, oh, well, obviously those are things that you sort of can build energy around because you hear other people. So I definitely would encourage you to engage your staff to build web displays in the same way that you would build a display in your store. You get feedback, you get their ideas, you hear where something is where maybe that doesn't work as well for a reason that you hadn't thought about, and creating a sort of a culture around like supporting that kind of creative work together. That'll also just make them more engaged. Your staff will be more engaged suddenly with what's on your website and the kinds of things that you want to be promoting and putting forward. And you can do it. It doesn't have to be a very formal process. You can do it just like at the counter, or when there aren't customers. Especially if this is a great lockdown activity. If people are having to work from home, coming up with ideas and sharing them digitally is a way to interact and build kind of a good list. And that's really what you're getting to. Selling online is doing the same things that you do in store, just leveraging the technology to support what you're trying to do, which convey your passion, share your love of the book, and giving them a mechanism to put it in their cart and give you money for it. And that leads to Heather's social media.
All right, make sure I'm unmuted. All right, thank you, Jeremy. And I put a note in the chat that what Jeremy was talking about for displays. It absolutely, when you're doing your indie commerce site, especially, or your bookshop site, there's templates kind of ready for you to put your website display on there. And the titles are, choosing the titles is what the important part is just to think of that homepage as your display. So, all right, so thinking about, does anyone have any questions about that specifically before we move on? We'll probably do that. So just put questions in the question thing if you can, just because the chat kind of slides quickly and we might miss something. So, great question from Diane. How often should you change your displays on your website, Jeremy, your homepage?
It's every couple of weeks is ideal. Even if it's the same subject, if you wanted to do just Pride is what we're in right now, so we'll talk about Pride. If you did a Pride display that is this week about activism and the next week is about gay celebrities, or sort of that changing online, the more rapidly you can change it, the better. But there shouldn't be this intensity of I have to change it every day or I have to change it every week, because again, the idea is how can you build into your workflow of something that is achievable and that sort of meets your goals. And I would change it less often and be happy with that until you just worked up. But like variations on a theme is a good way to think about. If you want to change it every week, you don't have to change the subject every week. You can just change like the books, the 5 books that you display.
Right. I love that. So frequently, I think, is a good, you should your website should be updated frequently and stay fresh. That is for sure though. And someone asked, and I'm gonna just say, someone asked how to save the chat. If you are looking at the chat box as it's popped out, there's 3 little dots at the bottom. If you hit that, the very first thing at the top is save chat. And you can do that at the end. You know, at the end, it'll save the whole chat to your computer, to your desktop somewhere. I've done it once and I've never looked back to find the chat that I saved. So I know it's there somewhere. Okay, so any other questions? All right, great. Moving on to social media. So I have done a lot of social media in my life, and I did a lot of social media for the Town Recover when I worked there. And so I understand the concept of it, but I wanted to really do some research so that I could put down some more industry best practices types of things on this document that we've shared with you. And I also gave you a whole bunch in this document of links to some great articles that I found. But thinking about social media best practices, first I'm gonna reset my timer just so I don't go too far over my 10 minutes. Jeremy didn't do 10 minutes, so we're ahead of time. First things first, understand your store's demographics and also the demographics of the different platforms that you're looking at. So you want to know who your social media audience is and also who your store's customers are, what their age is, what their time of life is. You know, are they grandparents? Are they empty nesters? Are they parents? Their education levels, their interests outside of work, all of those types of things. If you understand, which you do, if you're seeing them every day in your store, you understand your demographics pretty well. That helps you in putting together social media that is really talking to the right people. Choose which networks you want to use and which networks to ignore. So you don't want to use everything. I personally think that you need to be on Instagram and you need to be on Facebook in our business. I don't look at Twitter. It freaks me out and I don't understand it, but a lot of bookstores do a really good job with their Twitter accounts. So I think that that's worth thinking about. And there are some other options, but when you're looking at your demographics, you can look at the demographics of Twitter and social and Facebook and Instagram and understand if that's the right fit for you. It also, looking at the platforms themselves will help you understand what the best usage of them. Facebook is used for different things than Instagram, is used for different things than Twitter, and any other platforms that are out there. I included some great articles in this document that we shared with you that talks about how to figure out what those demographics are and what the platforms are used for and how to make some of those decisions for your business. Have a plan for your social media. Set goals for what you want to do. They don't have to be super firm goals, but you know, you probably want to generate brand awareness. You want to promote events. You want to sell specific books. You want to get new customers. You want to get new subscribers to your if for example, if that's your goal, one of your goals, make sure you have a button on your Facebook page that says subscribe to our email. So if you have a plan and an idea of what you want to use social media for, you'll be better able to organize your social media and achieve some of those goals. And evaluate your results. It can be as simple as how many people liked it, clicked through, viewed it. All of the platforms give you that information. You can do more digging into analytics, but even a simple look at your results of your posts will tell you, am I posting at the right time? If I post something first thing in the morning and 2 people click on it, if I post something at 5 in the afternoon and 10 people click on it, that can be an indication that's good information to have. So use your analytics as they're available to you. I put in some great links on some information on how to get metrics and how to find those metrics. All right. Understand how to use hashtags and tag people. And this is something that I did not understand for a long time. I hashtagged everything on my personal Instagram account that is not public. So there's no reason to hashtag because you can't find that in searches. You can't follow those, you can't ever follow me. So it took me a while to understand what they were for. Basic concept, the @ symbol brings a person or a group or a business into your conversation, includes them. The hashtag refers to a subject matter. So the topic of a conversation. So if you're talking about an author, you can @ them and they will be brought into that conversation if they're paying attention. But if you're talking about that author's genre, so you do hashtag new science fiction, then everyone who's looking for new science fiction can find you by that hashtag. It's just an easy way to think about it, but I also gave you some great resources for that. Pay attention to your colleagues. Our members are doing amazing things on social media. I'm going to show you a couple examples here shortly. Your competition, whether it's competition as in bookstore competition or what movie theaters and other ways of getting other entertainment options, that's kind of competition for you, and what the industry is doing. If you follow Shelf Awareness and Publishers Weekly and the ABA and NPIBA, and we have Reading the West, Facebook and Instagram, that's a lot of great content that you can share and be aware of and know what people are talking about. Either inspiration and ideas can come from anywhere for your posts. Make sure you're following mentions about yourself. So if someone asks you at Blue Willow Bookstore, you need to make sure you're seeing that and responding to the fact that they're pulling you in. Like that post or respond to it. Also, if someone puts a comment or mentions you on your posts, a nice comment or a like or a positive, make sure you're responding to that stuff. And of course, if someone has a complaint or a negative comment, try to respond to that as well. I saw a question. There's a link a little farther up in the chat that Jeremy shared, and he can share it again. It'll take you to this whole PDF document, and it has all of the links. Your social media voice and tone should be that of your bookstore. So every post that you put on social media is an extension of your bookstore's brand. So it's kind of important to think about them in terms of what you want your brand to look like. You think about your store a lot. And so when you think about what your store looks like, see if you can carry that over into what your social media looks like. Your Facebook page and your Instagram page, they should look like your store in a lot of ways. I mean, you can be more creative because you have a lot of outlet there, but think of your brand. I thought this was really interesting. I found this, the rule of thirds. It was on a whole bunch of different articles about the best practices for social media. 1/3 of your posts should promote your business, your events, sell books. 1/3 of your posts should be industry or like-minded things that you're sharing. And the other third should be more personal stories about your store cat or something great that one of your staff members did outside of work that is, volunteering or something. So just personal things that kind of add to your brand and divide up your social media so it doesn't look like it's a complete selling platform, which I think is one of the important things, even though that is what we're doing. Obviously, we want to sell. And there's a lot of tools out there. I would say that there's scheduling tools, there's design tools like Canva, and I've only used Canva, but I know there's a whole bunch of them out there. Most of them are available for free or very cheap if you're only using them for so many posts a month or something like that. And if you feel overwhelmed with the idea of trying to post really regularly on your social media, which you really need to do, sitting down at one time and scheduling things all at once is a great option. Britt just put that Planoly is her favorite for Instagram. Jeremy, you use one too, don't you? That you really like?
I use later.com, which is free for 30 posts a month, and then there's a minimal fee for more than that.
Right. So there's all sorts. I mean, I used to use Hootsuite. That lets you do everything, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything all at once.
Hootsuite doesn't let you do Instagram anymore. That's the reason I found Later.
Okay.
Instagram doesn't play nice with all the platforms. So finding an Instagram poster was my struggle.
So that's okay. Oh, someone said that Hootsuite just added Instagram. Okay, so great. So there's a lot of things out there, and I think you could find them for very, free or cheap if you're not using them for extensive, lots and lots of posts. All right, so now real quickly, if my screen share works, I'm going to show you just a few slides of some social media that I found that I watch all of your social media, or I try, and I love most of it. So I'm just going to see. Let's see if this works. Okay. So some samples of that I found that I think are really terrific. So first one, whoops. This is, oops, that went too fast. All right, so this is Second Star to the Right, their Facebook page. First, notice the sign up button there at the top. That takes you to sign up for their email newsletter. I think everyone should have that. I don't know why you wouldn't. And I love how they use this cover. They change their cover photo. They change it regularly to just talk about what they're currently promoting, what they're currently matters to them, what's interesting. And I think that that's a great use of a cover photo. All right, this is Book People, Austin, Texas. They have their button here is Shop Now. I don't know for a fact if you can do a Shop Now and a sign up, but you probably can do two buttons at the top. I think that Shop Now is great too. It just goes straight to their homepage so you can buy books from them. I love the use of their cover photo up here as well, celebrating their 50 years, which is amazing. They also use the event. They create events on Facebook, which is a really good way to promote your events, your author events, because you can really get a sense of interest and registrations, even if you're not using it as a registration platform. The people that like and express interest in it will give you a sense of the tracking of that event, which I think is a great option. This is just a really great little quick post from Interrobang. It's an example of an easy, fun post that you could do every day, something this simple. It celebrates the staff members' talents because it's talking about Sarah's wonderful drawing, and it gives a little peek inside the store, and it really feels, I've been in the store, this is what it feels like, and it really shows that. This is a great example of Fulton Street, just as an easy way to create content. She's sharing an amazing article in a newspaper about what they're doing right now, which is a monthly book subscription club for being an ally. But it's just all they have to do is share it, and they've created a great post that has tons of interaction. So pay attention to anything that's about you and share it when it's good news. Let's see. Here's one of Legends in Wyoming. And I just love this cover photo because it really makes you feel like you're there. That is what it feels like when you're in that space. That's what the store looks like. It speaks to that. And again, at the bottom, this is a good example. The top post there about this title is a good example of using hashtags to make sure you're talking about think about the right hashtags and use them. They used Legends Bookstore, hashtag Legend Bookstore, Cody, Wyoming, Manson murders. So if anyone's just searching for Manson, there might come up on this promotion for this book, even though they weren't looking for Legends Bookstore. This is Magic Cities in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They have an amazing Instagram feed. And I just love how this is just a selection of them. But I love how it's an interspersed with their author events. They're not all the same exact layout, but you can tell it's an author event immediately. They promote books that they like, plus they do little vignettes of their store and their outside. And then I love they changed their logo to be Mask City instead of Magic City, and so that's just a little funny post. Their Instagram is really great, so if you can look at that, I would encourage it. This is from Brightside in Flagstaff, Arizona. It's just a perfect post. They're trying to get across that this book is back in stock, which is the point of the post. But it also shares their smiling staff. It shows a little bit of the inside of the store. It shows them with their masks on, which gives a message as well. So it just accomplishes a lot with just one very quick photograph. And this is Bookworm of Edwards in Edwards, Colorado. And this is a great example of they're using the they're tagging this author so that the author is aware and can share this post. And they're doing a ton of great hashtags to bring everyone in. Shop local, indie bookstore, books of Bookstagram, book lover, bookshop. Anyone who's looking for any of those hashtags or following any of those hashtags will find this, will see this post. And that's a lot better than just the people that are following Book People. So that is that, and it worked. That's nice. All right, and that's social media. Do we have any specific questions? Let's see, there's one. What's this? That's a great question. They're asking if you have a new store, how do you discover your demographics? I think there's a couple of ways that you can do it without having to like spend any money. Just kind of, you know, your town, you know, the people that are coming in. So that's a good start. You know, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. The city website probably has information on your community's demographics. That's a good way to look at it. And I would just really think about the customers that are walking in your door. Who are they? What are they buying from you? What are they buying from you already? Did you actually type in an answer, Jeremy, or you just?
No, I let you answer it live.
Yeah, I think. So does that help a little bit? It's like, I think that there's some great links on our sheet about how to figure out your demographics, but I feel like if you can understand the demographics of your community, which you can get that from government websites, and just from those people that are walking in your doors, that will help you understand how you need to focus your social media.
I'll say when I was working on opening stores, I would look around for the nearest big grocery store. And that was a good way to indicate sort of like what kind of store that was, who a grocery store was, because they spend a lot of money on their demographic surveys, and you can just piggyback. I also sort of answered the wrong question. Natalie had asked about like how much should we post,
right? And
what's too much. And I texted, but there is no such thing as too much, unless it hurts your thumbs to type on your phone. Otherwise, I believe in overposting, because social media is a stream, and sometimes you get in the water and sometimes you don't. So right. You can't really overtalk, I don't think. Heather also has feelings about that.
I agree with that in general. But I do think that you want to focus on when you're posting. If you're posting about an event, make sure you post about it regularly. And then you can intersperse other things with that, so that it doesn't always seem like you're only talking about the same thing. But like Jeremy said, it's a stream. So if I don't see your Facebook page or your Instagram page for the next 3 days, I will have missed that one post that you put about something. So post it again. I really recommend that you think of some bookstores that you personally love, or businesses that you personally love, and that you shop and you care about what they're saying, and look at how much they post and kind of get a sense of, do you think it's too much? Do you think it's over? And if you don't, then that's what you should be doing if you can. All right. Any other questions before that's the same one, right? Okay. All right. So now let's move on to the third pillar of your online marketing, and kind of, in my opinion, one of the most important is your email campaign, your marketing emails. And so here is Christiane from Shelf Awareness, who's going to discuss the best practices for email.
Hi, I likewise have a ton of information on that sheet. I'll try to get through as much of it as we can, but there's more that you can just look at on the handout. First thing about email, send them. If you're not sending messages already, do send them. And also make sure to test them. So like two at one, like make sure that you know what's going out to your customers before they get it. Test the spelling, test the links, just make sure that everything's going to look professional, and you won't have to send one of those correction messages that say, oh, sorry, we got that link wrong. So make sure that there's testing. A lot of questions that people ask right away, similar to the social media, is how many, and there's no perfect answer to that. I think in the same way as social media, it really depends on your audience. It depends on your staff. It depends on your amount of time, how tired your thumbs get, etc. But if you're not sending at least 2 a month, chances are your customers aren't seeing you. Because I work with Shelf Awareness and we send a lot of email messages, I answer this question a lot. And I try to think about emails really similarly to social media. The more often your customers are seeing your logo and your store name, they're remembering you, and then you're up top of mind every time they're about to make a purchase. So just make sure you're not going silent to your customers. And also be consistent. I think the second question of emails is often, what's the perfect day to send? And everyone has an opinion about it, you know, Tuesday at 3 or Sunday night at midnight, so that they wake up to the messages. And there's a lot of research about all of those, but ultimately you just need to pick and stay with it, because what ends up being more comforting to customers is knowing that they're going to get something at a certain time. If it feels a little more tangential, it doesn't kind of register as what they were expecting. Of course, occasional surprise emails about something special is totally different. But if they get something from you on a Monday, and then the next week it's on a Thursday, and then the next week, it can end up feeling like they got too much or too little. The other thing that I always suggest about emails is to sell books. I get a lot of emails from stores all around the country because I love seeing what people are doing. And there's a lot of focus on events. And especially we've been seeing now, because events took a little bit of a back seat to book sales. If you're only sending event newsletters, you're not encouraging book sales in the same way. So if you only have time and effort in your staff to send an event message, just make sure that you're highlighting another book in there as well. Just trying to, or just poking people back to your website where you have a list of books that they should be looking at and considering buying. Which is the other thing, always make sure to link back to your website, and always make sure that your name and logo are in the message. Sometimes it feels like, oh, well, you know it's coming from us, but you have to see it every time. You have to see the name, the logo, and then make sure it's something that they can do an action about. Click a buy button, goes to that book, or reply for an event, or just some action that they can possibly do to engage them in that same way that both Jeremy and Heather were talking about with your website or your social media. You really want to engage them and make them feel sort of participatory with you. Clear and engaging, clear action that they can do. And also, like Heather and Jeremy were saying, look at what you like. You get emails from all kinds of industries, I'm sure, you know, whether it's a cooking blog or a crafting thing, or your local food co-op or anything. Like what do you end up liking about a certain message? What do you want to pursue with that message after you've seen it? And then just really copy it. It's something that's out there. The ideas are there for you to sort of model in your own for your own store. Also, if you have the chance to, delegate. If there's someone on staff that you know loves writing book reviews, give them the task to write one a week, or to collect them from other staff members. And if you are the owner or marketing manager of a store, certainly be on the test send before a message goes out, so that you can see everything and make sure that you feel it's all working correctly, but you don't have to do all the work. And even the staff that you delegate doesn't have to do as much work as it seems like right away, because you have so much content around your store already. You have shelf talkers, you have staff recommendations, you have a lot of things that you can use. You can use a lot of the same tips and tricks for social media in an email newsletter. You are kind of a hub for your customers, and you're giving them sort of trusted information about the book world, and you're their connection. In the Shelf Awareness Pro newsletter and in the Readers newsletter, that's kind of the role that we serve. It's gathering up what's going on in the industry and giving it to people. And then they can go from there onto the trails that they choose to pursue further. Another way to delegate is also, there are services that you can use. Number one, don't ever just send from your email program, like where you type your emails to, you know, your staff and to your customers. Don't just write text and send a BCC list, because undoubtedly it'll be spam caught and you won't be able to track any of the statistics about openings or bounces. So there's pretty classic MailChimp and Constant Contact are email platforms, and I know that they have capacities at which they are free, and then above that they're paid services. Shelf Awareness also, of course, offers the shelf awareness for readers that we brand for stores, and we do the pre-order email e-blast now. We manage the ABA's Indie Next list, and we also partner with Mountains and Plains and some of the other regionals to do catalogs, holiday and now summer as well. So there's options out there, especially if you don't have staff that you can delegate to, but you still know that you need to send messages. There's services that can help you with that, already established, that can kind of take the work off of your plate. And some of them are like built and you just plug and play. Your logo goes on, it looks like your newsletter and the content's already in. And sometimes there's ways that you can customize that a little bit to make it personal. And then I think the last thing, and probably the most important, is to make sure it's easy to subscribe and unsubscribe. Don't be afraid of unsubscribes. I think a lot of people cringe when they see unsubscribes come through, but really it's just people who know they're not an email customer. They know that they want to engage with your store in a different way, and it's not that way. So that's fine. And then the more you clean your lists and make sure that bounces are out, or people who don't interact are out, or people who choose to opt out are out, you have a much more active email list then that you're working with. The button on social media is excellent. Have that. Have buttons on your website that are very clear upfront. Subscribe to our newsletter. And some people use pop-up windows that come up, and I know there's schools that hate pop-up windows and schools that love pop-up windows, and whichever one you are, if you hate them, just make sure you have something prominent on your page in another space. And on the social media, have a button. It's kind of the passive way to always grab people if you can, but also do active ways. Have posts that are specifically saying, hey, we just reviewed this book in our recent newsletter. You can get these reviews, sign up here. Have them land back at a very easy to see sign up page, and make sure that they're seeing a page that says you are going to be subscribed to the newsletter, so that they know what they're doing. I do know that most people still get their signups from their counter, and maybe not in the last couple months, but previous to the COVID issues, that's still a big way. The point of sale sign up is still a really popular way to get people. They're there engaging with you. Ask them, don't be shy. They want to participate with you. Sign-ups at events, both virtual and live. You can have, again, a call out. Do sign up for our newsletter so that you know to get these notices about these kinds of events. Registrations for events can also be a great way to get people to sign up. And make sure it's easy to unsubscribe. If you're using email programs, most of those have that built in at the bottom of a page. It'll have an unsubscribe button. Just make sure that that's an option so that people don't send you very angry messages asking you to cease and desist. Yeah, for the most part, just making sure also that you keep that list active. If you're using an email program, it's probably sorting out the bounces for you. If you're not using one that does that, you just have to make sure that you're cleaning out those messages, because then you have a better open rate. The more times you update your list, it's an organic item, it will stay more active as you keep it fresh. So making sure that you're updating and getting more people on that list. Yeah. I think I did 10 minutes.
That was perfect 10 minutes. That's crazy. Awesome. I want to add a quick anecdote because I know that some people question whether email is still the really good way to communicate with your customers. And I just have an anecdote from when I was doing the marketing for my bookstore. We had a very large email list. We had a large number of followers on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And we decided we had been doing tons of marketing. We also did advertising in the local newspaper and all sorts of different ways of communicating with our customers. So we decided to do a survey of our customers to find out what was working, what the best things were. So we created a survey that was, how do you hear about our events? Email, social media, et cetera, in the newspaper. We sent a link to the survey to our email customers. We sent a link to a survey. We posted a link to the survey on our Facebook page, on our Instagram page, and on our Twitter. And we got a lot of answers. It was a surprisingly well responded to survey. And no matter where the customer came from, whether they linked in from social media, or they heard about it in the store because we had a note, or they linked it from the email, everyone said the number one way that they heard about an author event at the Tatter Cover was from their email. Everyone. And not everyone, but the majority. So even if they were a big social media follower and they took this survey from Facebook, email was the main way that they were getting the actual information they wanted from the store. So it really, we ended up eliminating a lot of paid advertising after that survey because the Denver Post ad was not the number one, this is how I hear about your events. So why would we spend all that money? So I think email is so important, and I feel like we've talked about this at several of our education programs. I feel like we just want to keep emphasizing and how important it is for everyone to have a good email list. Those are your best customers because they have signed up specifically to receive an email from you, or they've entered something, or they're really your good customers. So, questions? What questions? Oh, we have one. Let's see. What's this? Is posting too much? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if can everyone see the Q&As? No.
Well, we can, so we have to read the questions aloud.
So the question is that Natalie wrote was, does posting too much hurt you with the algorithms? And Jeremy's answer is no. Posting regularly and consistently will help you with the algorithm. So what else? Next one. I don't see another one.
The next question is looking for a how-to resource for Facebook and or Instagram.
I don't think I included any actual how-tos on my list, but I found so many good articles that I would really just encourage you to Google how, best Facebook practices and best Instagram practices, and you will find lots of them.
I'll say, since I use later.com, I get sort of regular emails from them about, ideas for Instagram, ideas for Facebook. So some of the services that you sign up for may give support. And I think of that as, frankly, oftentimes being a lot of spam. And I read through them now pretty regularly because there are lots of good ideas there.
Yeah. What else? I was trying to look through the chat. Was there anything else that really comes up? Is there anyone who's had type something if you've had really good success with something that you did on? Did you do a really good promotion lately? Anything fun that's happened? Successful author events? Is everyone? We didn't really talk about this because it's a whole other subject matter. But doing Facebook Live. And Instagram, is it Instagram Live? Is that what it's called also? Instagram video, TV, Instagram
TV and live through stories.
So those are, right, okay. So those are both, again, another whole entire use of social media is now to do these live events with our authors. Let's see.
The trick is with that kind of thing, really the component that everybody really needs to embrace is figuring out how to then tie it back to your website and say, buy the book.
Right.
Encouraging people to buy the book and say, I know that we all want to nobody really wants to be salesy, but please allow me to give you permission to be salesy sometimes, especially online. That is the opportunity to say, buy this from me because, or not even because, just buy this from me. And take advantage of the audience that is paying attention to you. Embrace them and ask them to give you support.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. That's exactly right. We are in the business to sell books, people. So sell them. All right. I'm going to try to get to some of these chats. Okay. Valerie asked that she's working on how to boost pre-orders. Can you speak to that? I think that all of these, every single one of the platforms that we've just talked about are vital for pushing your pre-orders. Anything for social media, posting about something and saying pre-order now with a link for actually putting the pre-order. I will say that if you haven't already looked at the shelf awareness pre-order emails, we did a little class on them a month ago for booksellers. They are really a turnkey opportunity to, with very little effort, to send out an email for pre-orders for some of the biggest upcoming titles. And you can change it to be any titles you want. So it's one opportunity, but I would for sure, at the books that you're excited about and you want to take pre-orders from, do a pre-order across channels. So put a pre-order promotion on your website, send an email with a pre-order promotion, and put something on your social media for that same pre-order, so that you're really hitting all of your audiences and linking them directly back to your website for pre-orders. All right.
I was going to say, connected to what Jeremy was saying about the emails that he reads from his service, that they are something that give him information that he wants and is useful to him. And you are that to your customers. So being excited about, like, hey, you guys don't know about this book that's coming out yet, but you have access to it through us, like creating that sort of privileged status in your social media and prominently on your website or through your email e-blasts, I think helps.
Very much so. That's why people follow you, and that's why people get your email and come into your stores, because of who you are and the books that you're excited about and your store specifically. So anything that you're excited to be selling as a pre-order, they should be excited to know about. There's so many good chats in here. There's somebody said that they were able to get an exclusive for a signed personalized book plate and art bundle, and if they bought the book from them, and you ended up selling 300. That is amazing. That is a great pre-order campaign. And I'm assuming that you promoted it widely over all of your, across all of your channels. That's amazing. It does help for pre-orders. That's a whole other conversation, but having something to give, a signed copy or some swag, those sometimes make a difference. But again, I think that Christiane is right in the sense that if they're hearing about it from you, that makes it more interesting to them. Oftentimes.
I love what Brittany's saying about the YA books, sort of a book corner where there's specifically talking about that. Like the idea of sections to have, I think is great. And to the scheduling, which I think everyone talked about, and the same for emails, make sure you know in advance what you're going to be doing so you don't end up stuck without an idea at all. That you have like an editorial calendar to make sure you're hitting all the things, whether it was like Jeremy said, there's calendar items that are just easy targets. This is a holiday this month. This is, the theme of this month. But then also this, like every Tuesday, we're going to do a YA corner, and then it kind of breaks up the work a little bit more. And yet each week what you're going to do for your email, for your social media, and what you're going to put on your website display.
I remember there was a great, and I can't remember who it was now because it was a couple of years ago, a great store was doing that. Remember Throwback Thursday was a thing for a long time. So every Thursday they posted about a backlist title that they loved, and with a link to buy it. And it was just the perfect way to promote backlist. And it was, because it's Throwback Thursday, it was, you know, an easy every week promotion and so simple. Any book in your store could be that promotion. Let's see. I love the whole idea of using all of these online marketing tools as display spaces. And if you think of them that way, your email, your social media, and your website as display spaces that can match your store or be extensions of your store, that's a great way of looking at it. Oh, that's great to have an author for talking about pre-orders again, I believe, for the Cerulean Sea, that, you know, that's a great way. Have the author themselves push the pre-order. That's a perfect, you know, very helpful. So.
While Heather's looking at the chats, I will just sort of make a pitch out there that Mountains and Plains has an email that we send with shelf awareness for the holidays. We really want everybody, our holiday gift guide is a tool that you can use that it's completely free and sort of a low maintenance thing on your side. And sales for that the registration opens next week. So while I have a captive audience here thinking about email, I might as well put it out there.
And we actually just completed the new summer reading email campaign that 40 plus of your colleague stores participated in, probably quite a few of you. And it was, you know, it went out because it was with 2 other regions. It went out to almost 300,000 consumers. And that's a really good promotion. And it's such an easy thing for your store to take care of or to take advantage of. Oh God, there's so many great ideas. Everyone make sure you save the chat. So if you forgot how, there's 3 little buttons in the corner. Just push save chat and then you'll be able to reference all of this and see all of these great ideas. I just want to have an idea share session about online events. And we may have to kind of put one of those together. We'll have to think about that because there's so many great ideas in here. So any other last questions, comments? Anyone not able to see? Oh yeah.
It's right there next to the all panelists and attendees, the little blue bar just underneath the chat. Right.
Yeah. Does anyone see it?
Hopefully it'll be close to where the dots are. Well,
you have to pull it. Oh, yeah, you need to, so your chat needs to be popped out. So it's a sidebar to your, if you're seeing the whole chat, you should be able to see the 3 dots, I think.
And I will also save it and post a copy of it to the Mountains and Plains Summer Camp website. Underneath the video, we'll have a copy of this video posted to the schedule.
Okay.
So you'll be able to find it there, and I'll make sure that we have it. So you guys you can have it immediately, or give me a couple of hours. I'll get it posted to the website.
Thank you, Jeremy. Because I apologize, everyone. Maybe you're not all seeing what I'm seeing, which is very possible. So we'll save it for you, so you'll have the chat. And I guess that's any other questions before we log off. I just want to thank. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just love seeing the stream of great ideas from stores across the country. It's really fantastic. Everybody has done such a great job in the past several months figuring out how to do this in a new way. And it's really inspiring to see such innovation and creativity from so many really amazing stores. So great job to everybody for all the work you're doing. And I want to support you in any way the association can. So if you have questions or if you need ideas or we're here to help with all of that.
Yes.
And Jeremy, maybe you can put up my email with yours so if anyone has any questions that I can help out with.
Absolutely. All right. Absolutely. I ditto everything Jeremy just said. Thanks so much to Christian and to Shelf Awareness for sponsoring this event. It means a lot to us. They're really good partners to Mountains and Plains and to all of the booksellers.